Good morning, folks. We've got weather, deep space observations, observations of the Arctic above and below sea level, and some utterly sobering words on Earth's magnetic field. The sun has been active around the limbs, but as we come to spaceweathernews.com, we find the Earth-facing half of the sun was much quieter. Notice that the coronal hole appears to extend back towards the incoming limb on the south. Meanwhile, the solar wind received the memo from the Earth-facing half of the sun. Quiet. Got it. But since we were already in a cosmic ray health alert due to the extended magnetospheric quiet, that does continue today. The alert level is strong for existing cardiac and mental health patients. Looking quickly to the weather here, you know it feels cold here in Colorado, but I really can't complain, can I? Record cold and record late season snow in the east, all while both the jet stream is dipping, allowing Arctic air to shift southward, and while the lower atmosphere flows follow the trend and allowing it to more significantly affect the surface. We'll get a quick look here at Nuevo Leon. It's in northern Mexico, and this is the tornado that ripped through Friday evening. Lots of damage as cars were flipped and roofs were torn off as well. Let's start the science news slowly here and go to an X-ray examination of M31. They were able to confirm that even outside of the visible light obvious spiral arms and dusty filaments, they're picking up plasma returns in seemingly empty regions, indicating that the plasma pressure indeed fills the voids with this superheated and X-ray glowing gas and plasma. Folks, we've seen this with krill, phytoplankton, numerous species of fish and brine, and now we hit the Arctic freshwater fish. They too are going to buck expectations of animal effect from global warming and end up thriving. However, whereas the tiny life in the ocean was benefiting from increased CO2 food, they say the cold of winter is all that restrains the freshwater fish in the Arctic, and so they are going to thrive in a warmer world with an expected 20% increase from the century average population in just the next 30 years. Let's go back to the cosmic mapping, but take it to a much larger scale. Superclusters of galaxies and the filaments that run within them. Not so surprisingly, the largest and most massive galaxies are inside the filaments, and the smaller galaxies are outside or on the edge. However, those massive, larger galaxies also have lower and slower star formation. How does that happen with all the extra material and extra material feeding their extra large sizes? Well, because the stronger the magnetic fields, the higher the organization order, and the less gravity and electromagnetic attraction is able to collapse the material. It's the same exact discovery as Sophia and Alma with star formation in molecular clouds, just at a much larger scale. Now the background to our top story. We've had magnetic excursions on this planet every 10 to 15,000 years going back at least until Toba. Before that, it is hard to see the ones between that and the Blake excursion 115,000 years ago. But this rapid field reversal event is much more dangerous in the short term for biosphere stability than the longer full Cron reversals that happen every few 100,000 years. But here we sit in the expected return range for another excursion. Of course, as this is true, so are the observed changes already having begun. The magnetic poles are moving and accelerating. The speed up could also describe the loss of the field's strength, which is the main biosphere challenge with increased space radiation. Both observed changes are speeding up, and this hasn't happened in thousands of years. But interestingly, if you had asked me if being down about 20 to 25% right now should be noticeable in the large-scale planetary weather anomalies, I would probably guess not yet. While feet to the fire, I would have to guess if there were, it'd be something in the Atlantic due to the largest geomagnetic variations taking place in that region. And in the new paper, we are discovering that indeed, we can notice the effect of the Earth's changing magnetic field on the position of the Weddell Sea anomaly, about a 7-degree shift in half a century, and yes, that's found down at the South Atlantic. Top quote from the paper confirms what we've been dancing around here in this show and what we've expressly expressed numerous times over the last 18 months. The ongoing episode of the dipole moment downtrend can be considered as an indication of a geomagnetic polarity reversal. We usually do this chart from about the 1800s. It's the field loss chart, but with some of the marks given in that new paper, we can now make one going back 2,000 years. If you go to our tertiary website, magneticreversal.org, which by the way is linked below the video every day for you with these news, you will find the 1800s to now version of this chart, and how similar it looks to this 2,000-year chart is incredible, especially when you come to the last century and see that acceleration. By the way, the curve is still scary even if I don't add the 2020 extrapolation from NASA and ESA data. It is also noteworthy that they say it was the mid-1800s when the field loss really picked up, and we already know it was 1859 when the solar superstorm kicked off the pole motion. So who's going to sleep on the sun this coming maximum cycle phase? Not me. We greatly appreciate your support, and you're supporting your awareness as the next great magnetic excursion of Earth is clicking into another gear this century. Learn a ton about these topics at the homepage of suspiciousobservers.org. Lots of free information there. We've got your wind map forecasts and shots of our star to close, and of course we'll do this all again tomorrow, right here, but right now it's 5 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.